The storm banners hung low over the plains of Aravel as a column of armored warriors marched toward the central arena. At the center of this formation walked a single human whose wrists were bound by glowing cuffs. His name was Leon, a simple repair worker taken during a border skirmish months earlier. The warriors surrounding him laughed as they walked, not in mirth, but in scorn. To them he was a curiosity, a creature from a world that had resisted conquest longer than expected. They saw him as little more than a burden, a slow-moving being with soft skin and quiet eyes. Leon walked with steady breaths, refusing to let their laughter break his calm. He had survived long months of forced labor in the forging pits. He had endured the dull ache in his limbs, the harsh weight of alien expectations, and the constant reminder that his life had become a prize of another species. Yet he had learned their language, studied their expressions, and watched every detail around him with silent determination. He did not fight because he had no weapons. Instead, he watched and waited, storing every moment in his mind for choices that might come later. The warriors shoved him forward through the gates of the arena. Above them, thousands of alien spectators filled the towering stands, their iridescent skins shimmering under the radiant sky. The arena floor was a wide circle of smooth stone ringed by columns carved with symbols of victory and lineage. Today was a day of ritual mockery, a tradition where the warriors paraded their captives or trophies to entertain the crowd. Leon had been chosen because he was human, and because the warriors thought his quiet gaze would amuse their audience. At the far side of the arena sat the royal platform, a raised structure lined with banners of deep blue and silver. On that platform stood the Princess Lyra, heir to the throne of Aravel. Her long hair shimmered with metallic hues, and her eyes, bright and curious, followed the procession with quiet thought. Unlike many of her kind, she did not find pleasure in humiliation. Her tutors had once told her that understanding an enemy was the surest path to ruling wisely. She had listened to that advice and taken it to heart. When Leon reached the center of the arena, a tall warrior named Kareth stepped forward. Kareth was known for his broad frame and booming voice. He raised his spear toward the crowd and let out a roar that echoed across the arena. The audience roared back with enthusiasm. Then Kareth turned toward Leon and smirked. He spoke loudly, projecting his words for all to hear. "Behold the human slave who struggles with tools no heavier than a ration crate," Kareth announced. "His world resisted our fleets, yet he trembles at the sound of a gate closing. Look at him. His shoulders sag with weakness. His hands shake from fear. This is what the humans truly are." Several warriors laughed, slapping their armored chests and pointing at Leon. Leon remained still, his gaze resting on the horizon rather than on the warriors taunting him. His refusal to react drew more laughter. To them, this lack of response was further proof of human fragility. Lyra watched with a small crease forming between her brows. She had reviewed reports about humans, studied their culture, and observed the captured humans brought to Aravel over the years. Leon did not match the descriptions of humans being quick to anger or easily roused. Instead, he stood with a calm that unsettled her. She leaned closer to her advisor, a thin figure named Rylon who stood nearby. "He does not seem weak to me," she said. "He seems controlled." Rylon folded his hands. "Princess, the crowds believe this is harmless sport. It is the warrior tradition to show their trophies." "But he is not a trophy," Lyra said softly. "He is a person." Back on the arena floor, Leon lifted his eyes. He stared at Kareth, but did not flinch. His voice, when he finally spoke, was low but carried across the open space. "You think my silence is fear," Leon said, "but it is only silence. You think my stillness is weakness, but it is only patience. You think you know humans, but you do not." Kareth snorted. "Empty words. You stand alone among thousands, bound and powerless. Leon replied, "Power changes. Situations change. People change. I am only one human, but that is enough for me today." Some of the crowd murmured. Warriors exchanged curious glances. The tone of the arena shifted slightly. Though the people of Aravel viewed humans as lesser beings, they also valued strength of spirit, even in an enemy. Still, Kareth sought to reassert control. He raised his spear again, intending to press the human to his knees. Before he could move, a soft chime rang from the royal platform. All motion in the arena halted. Lyra rose from her seat and stepped forward. Her gaze swept across the warriors and the crowd. When she spoke, her voice carried with the gentle authority of someone born to rule. "Release him," she said. Kareth turned in shock. "Princess, he is a slave taken in battle." "He is part of our victory rites." "Release him," Lyra repeated. "Bring him to me." The warriors hesitated, then obeyed. Leon's cuffs were removed, and he was guided toward the royal platform. He walked with steady steps, his expression unreadable. The crowd whispered in confusion. No one understood why the princess would intervene for a human. Lyra stood at the edge of the platform as Leon approached. Her eyes met his. For a moment, neither spoke. She studied the lines of exhaustion on his face, the faint scars on his arms, the quiet steadiness in his stance. Leon felt her gaze, but did not lower his eyes. When he reached the steps, he paused. Lyra descended the last few steps to meet him at eye level. "I have watched you," she said quietly. "Your strength is not loud, but it is real. You do not cower. You do not bend to mockery. That is something my people have forgotten how to recognize." Leon looked toward the arena floor, where the warriors still stood in uneasy silence. He then returned his gaze to the princess. "Why bring me here?" he asked. "Because your presence reveals something about us," Lyra answered. "Something uncomfortable. We see ourselves as conquerors, yet we fear anything that challenges our view. Your calm challenges us." Leon exhaled slowly. "I am only surviving. That is all." "Survival is strength," Lyra replied, "and strength deserves respect." Kareth stepped forward in protest. "Princess, he is an enemy, a creature from a world that resists us. He is not one of us." Lyra turned her head slightly, her eyes narrowing. "He is under my protection now. That makes him ours." The murmurs of the crowd swelled. The warriors stiffened in disbelief. Leon felt the weight of those words settle over him like a cloak he had not asked for. He did not know whether to accept or resist, but he understood that her declaration carried immense power in this society. Lyra took another step closer to Leon. Her voice softened, meant only for him, though the arena remained silent. "I do not claim ownership," she said. "I claim responsibility. My people will not harm you while you stand with me." "Responsibility," Leon repeated. His voice carried more warmth than before. "That I can accept." Lyra nodded once, satisfied. She turned back toward the crowd and raised her hand. "Let all of Aravel witness this. The human stands under my guardianship by right of royal decree." The arena echoed with gasps. Warriors dropped. To one knee out of instinct, though confusion shone in their eyes. Some looked at Leon with resentment, others with grudging respect. None dared to oppose the princess's words. Guards escorted Leon to the shaded area behind the platform where advisors and attendants lingered. Lyra followed with measured steps. Once away from the public eye, she addressed him again. "You must understand," she said. "This decision will change how many view you. Some will resent your presence. Others will seek to test you." Leon nodded. "I have lived under harder circumstances than disapproval." Raylon approached them, his expression thoughtful. "Princess, this act aligns with your vision for diplomacy, but be cautious. The council may question this. Lyra replied. The council follows tradition too rigidly. It is time for Aravel to see beyond trophies and victories. Leon looked between them. If my presence causes trouble, I can remain out of sight. No, Lyra said, you will not be hidden. You will learn our ways openly and speak for your people when you choose to do so. That is my decision. Days turned into weeks, and Leon found himself living within the palace compound. At first, many avoided him. Servants hurried past with uneasy glances. Guards kept their distance. Yet Lyra treated him with an even tone, offering him opportunities to learn about Aravel's history and customs. Leon observed everything carefully and answered her questions with measured honesty. Gradually, some residents softened. A few guards acknowledged him during training sessions when they saw his discipline. He was permitted to practice simple exercises in the courtyard. His endurance and resilience impressed those who watched. They had expected weakness. Instead, they saw quiet determination. One day, Lyra invited him to observe a council meeting. The hall was vast and filled with advisors who debated strategies for expanding trade routes and strengthening alliances. When Leon entered the chamber, the room fell silent. Lyra gestured for him to stand beside her. "This is Leon," she said. "He will observe our discussions." Several council members frowned. One of them spoke. "Princess, bringing an enemy into this chamber threatens our security." Leon replied simply, "I am not here to threaten anyone. I only seek understanding." Lyra continued, "If we hope to coexist with other worlds, we must understand them. We cannot do that by shutting them out or mocking them." Another advisor leaned forward. "Princess, is this human truly worthy of such trust?" Lyra's answer was calm. "Worthy,